Welcome back to So You Really Want to Learn Latin. And today we are moving on to the second conjugation, and we're going to look at verbs that go like moneo. Now, moneo means I warn, and it behaves pretty well in exactly the same way as amor, with one important distinction, and that is the present stem ends in an E rather than an A. Apart from that, it actually behaves in exactly the same way. Okay, so let's have a little look at the present tense. Moneo, mones, monet. Monemus, monetis, monent. Now, as you can see, the endings are exactly the same as those for amor in the present tense. ost, mus, tis, unt. But instead of being added onto a word that ends in an A, like amor, amas, amat, amamus, amatis, amant, it's been added onto a word that ends in an E. Moneo, mones, monet, monemus, monetis, monent. Okay? Very, very simple. And the great news is that this works in the other tenses too. So if we look at the future tense, monebo, monebis, monebit, monebimus, monebitis, monebunt. So you've got the same endings, bo, bis, bit, bimus, bitis, bunt, added on to the present stem, which ends in an E. The imperfect tense, monebam, monebas, monebat, monebamus, monebatis, monebant. Okay, exactly the same endings you've already learned. Bam, bas, bat, bamus, batis, bunt, added on to the present stem. And then the perfect tense has got those same endings, e, isti, it, imus, istis, erunt, and they are added on to the perfect stem of the verb. Now that's exactly what you do with verbs that go like amor. So there's no difference in the way moneo behaves in the perfect tense compared with amor. In fact, all verbs behave in exactly the same way in the perfect tense. They all add e isti it, imus istis erunt onto their perfect stem. And you probably remember that to get the perfect stem of a verb, you just need to look at its principal parts. Now, unlike with amor, where the absolute majority behave in exactly the same way with their principal parts, o, are, artem, verbs like moneo are not quite so well behaved. The standard type will go like moneo, and its principal parts are moneo, monere, monui, monitum. Okay, so it's got principal parts going o, ere, ui, itum. So, for example, a verb like timeo will go timeo, timere, timui, and then it does something slightly naughty. It doesn't have a fourth principal part. Well, some verbs don't. We just have to cope with that. But if we take another verb, such as doceo, now that's going to go doceo, docere, docui, and then this one will go doctum. So, we'd like it to have gone docitum, but it doesn't. It goes doctum. So this is really just a reminder to you that when you learn a Latin verb, you need to learn the verb itself and its meaning, but you must also learn its principal parts. So, moneo, monere, monui, monitum means I warn or I advise. Doceo, docere, docui, doctum means I teach. The English word doctor comes from that. Habeo, habere, habui, habitum means I have. Maneo, manere, mansi, mansum means I remain. Okay, so we're going to come across second conjugation verbs along with our first conjugation verbs. And the way to spot them is when you look at them, they always go e-o rather than just o. Amo, woko, rogo, ambolo, identifico. The kind of bit of the verb before the o just goes straight into it. Amo, identifico, laudo. Whereas verbs that go like moneo always have an e before the o. So you get those two vowels together. Maneo, timmeo, dokeo. So apart from that, you've got to spot them as being different from amo type verbs. They're really, really not very difficult to work with because their endings are exactly the same. Okay? So we could just have a little bit of practice at that just to kick you off. If I was to ask you, for example, to write out the present tense of the Latin verb teneo, now you want to know what it means. Teneo means I hold, but you can hear that it goes like moneo because it's teneo, eo. So that will go teneo, tenes, tenet, tenemus, tenetis, tenent. Okay, exactly the same endings as you've already learnt for amo, or st, mustis, und, added on to the present stem. Okay, if you were doing the future tense of a verb such as, let's say, maneo, that will be manebo, manebis, manebit, manebimus, manebitis, manebunt. Okay, when we looked at amo, I taught you that the present stem could be found by going to the principal parts of the verb, going to the second principal part, which is the present infinitive, so amare, and if you remember, we chopped off the re, and that left us with amar, and that was the present stem. The good news, exactly the same trick works with moneo type verbs. You go to the second principal part and chop off the re. Okay, so habeo means I have, habeo, habere, habui, habitum. You go to the second principal part, habere, chop off the re, and you're left with the present stem, habe, H-A-B-E. Okay, so actually, verbs that go like moneo are called second conjugation, but they really are a piece of cake because they are, to all intents and purposes, exactly like amo type verbs, with the one exception they are using an e as the last letter of their stem, whereas amo uses an a. Okay? I mean, pretty jolly easy. Okay? So if you were translating into Latin, you might have some little phrases such as he was remaining. You'd need the Latin for to remain, which is maneo. You'd want the imperfect tense because it's he was remaining. Endings for imperfect, bam, bas, bat. So we'd go for manebat, manebat. Okay. Really, really easy stuff, this, which is great because, the first little chunk of Latin is quite hard. There's a lot to get your head around. Verbs, persons, endings, tenses, all that caper. Now we've thrown in a new type of verb, a second conjugation verb, but with the little wiggle that we're putting an E instead of an A, we're already up and running and we can do present, future, imperfect, perfect tense endings for that verb without any difficulty at all. This is good news, surely. Okay, right, nice short lesson today. Don't get lazy though. I remember when I first learnt Latin back in the day, I remember coming across the second conjugation and thinking, yeah, it's easy. It's all the same. And I didn't kind of check that I really, really knew those endings, and I tended, I'm afraid, to sort of turn back in the book. So if you've got a wonderful book like this, and you're turning back just to check that you've got, you know, your endings right, you haven't really sorted it. If you're turning back in the book to check those endings, something's gone wrong. You want to have learnt them off by heart. Okay, I'm sure you'll do that. So do have a look in the book here. You can go to our website, gresham-books.co.uk, or get it on Amazon. So you'll be doing some little exercises where you translate first from English into Latin, check you're up and running with that E stem, and then some going the other way from Latin into English. And of course, don't forget that this wonderful language, the way we're going to learn it, is cumulative. So having learnt ammo in the first 4 tenses, we've now just learnt moneo in its first 4 tenses, and it doesn't mean you forget ammo. We now blend those together. So some of our sentences will involve a verb that is first conjugation, like ammo, and some will involve sentences with moneo. And you just have to be good at spotting. Is that verb, when I look at that verb, is there an A at the end of its stem, or is there an E? Apart from that, you just deal with it in the normal way. Okay, so nice little easy lesson this morning to sort out our second conjugation verbs. Next time, just to keep the pace up, we're going to look at second declension nouns. Okay, so we've had first declension nouns and first conjugation verbs. Today we've done second conjugation verbs. Next time, second declension nouns. Okay, keep it up. I hope you're enjoying these lessons. If so, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click the alarm bell button zapper thing for notifications, and I hope to see you next time.